Hey everybody, it's just me again. Yesterday I had a guest at my house, 1122 Kiwi, one of my subscribers, had watched my video and saw that I had one of those immersion blenders, and I said I was wanting to learn how to make soap. Well, she came to my house. She traveled a little bit to get here, and I really appreciate it. But she made some soap and had me to watch so that way I could learn. And now it's time to cut it and put it on a rack to dry. And I'm hoping that you'll get to see it here. She's one to repurpose and reuse, so she used these food containers. Well, we work on this and get it out, and then I'll be back. Okay, we're back. And the only thing I had to do was run the knife along the outside of the containers. You can see right here where I've torn it apart a little bit. But 1122 Kiwi said to put it on a rack like this in a pan, and then put a towel over top of it. I guess that's to keep it from drying out too fast. And we'll leave this for at least 3 weeks. Let it dry out. And now I'll show you something else that I am doing. I am going to make some fudge, and I hope the camera will let you see this. Anyhow, I've got 3 cups of sugar and 2/3 cup of cocoa in there, and it is already mixed up. I like to do it this way because you get most of the big lumps out of it. There's a little bit of teeny tiny lumps in there, but that will mix up as we do it. And to that, let me turn the fire on a little bit here. To that we will add, get the camera adjusted. Okay, this is, and you can't see, but it's 1.5 cups of milk. It is exactly 1 can of evaporated milk. So we'll put that in. We'll get that stirred up. And I've been making this recipe of fudge for a lot of years. I've never had any complaints. Had a lot of people bragging about it. Just keep on mixing. And through this, I don't leave it very long without coming back to stir it. Don't want it to stick, don't want it to burn. And to this, when it gets a little bit warm, because my butter is straight out of the freezer, and it takes 1/2 stick of butter, or 1/4 cup, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, but I don't measure, I just dump. And in here I've got a dash of salt also. So that's 3 cups of sugar, 2/3 cup of cocoa, 1 1/2 cup of milk, or 1 can of evaporated milk, a dash of salt, a teaspoon of vanilla, or a dump as I should say, or a pour. Anyhow, 1 stick or 1/4 cup of butter. So we'll go ahead and get this to heating up, and I'll bring you back in just a little bit. And we're back. It's just started to boil. I've got my stove set on medium-low. Start my timer here, and we'll see how long this takes. I really never timed it. Put in the butter. Now, like I said, I just took this butter out of the freezer, so it'll probably take a little bit of time for it to melt. And now I just want to take this opportunity to thank Kiwi for coming over. And I have her permission to show her soap and to mention her name. And I will ask her about posting the recipe that she used. I'm sure she wouldn't mind, but I still need to ask her permission, the way that YouTube requires. But anyhow, we'll be back in just a little bit farther along in this process. So we'll be back. Okay, I've turned the heat down to low. I don't like to rush the process. It seems to do better for me if I don't rush it. If I just take my time, it usually turns out. I haven't had, I think maybe one fail. Better not brag, knock on wood. But anyhow, I'm going to add my vanilla. See, I don't measure, I just dump. Most people do. Let's get that all stirred in. Also, you'll want to have a jar of peanut butter handy. A lot of people don't add peanut butter to it, but I think it's too rich if you do, or if you don't. I like mine, sort of like a milk chocolate, I guess, not a deep dark chocolate. But I've got my peanut butter over there ready. Now I've got a pan already buttered. I use a 9x13 pan, and makes a pretty good batch. But we are 13.5 minutes into this after it started to simmer. Now we're going to let this go. I'll come back a time or 2 or 3 or 4 and get this stirred up. I don't leave it very long. Just keep it stirred, and we'll be back again. Okay, while you're stirring, you can feel when it starts to thicken up. Now I've got a cup of cold water here. When you want to test it, take your spoon, drop some down in the cold water, and this is called the soft ball stage. And yes, you got to stick your fingers in it. Turn it around this way, so I want it to be over top of the pot. But it's, well, where you at? You can't see it. Let me go over here where you can see. Okay, it is not quite a soft ball stage. Let me go over here to the sink and pour some of this water out. So basically, this is what you get. It's not quite at a soft ball stage. So I'll pour this out, and we'll go again here in a few minutes. And I've got my hot water ready, my cold water ready for the next test. Over here, I've got, whoops, sorry about that, my peanut butter all on a saucer here. It's a lot easier that way to get it off and get it into the pan and stirred up rather than try to get it out of the jar, because sometimes you just don't have time to do that. But we'll go back over here to the stove, and sorry about making you dizzy. We'll just keep an eye on it. So far we're 24 minutes into this from the time it started boiling. Like I said, I do not like to rush this, because if I do, I just know it's not going to turn out. And the peanut butter that I've got over there is about a half a jar. And also, if you want to make just peanut butter fudge, what I do, and this is just me, I'm not saying it's perfect, I'm not saying, it's what you should do. You make your own choices. But I use this very same recipe, but I don't put the peanut butter in. Not the peanut butter, but the cocoa. I leave the cocoa out and put everything else in, and that gives you peanut butter fudge. Okay, I've tested it again and it's just about ready. At this point you cannot go off and leave it. You've got to stay right with it. This is the part that goes really fast. You've got to catch this at just the right time to get it over, to put your peanut butter in, get it stirred in, and get it poured out into the pan in a hurry. Okay, let's test it again. Can you see in there how it's stringing along? I'd say it's probably ready. Okay, when your fudge gets to this point here where it's a soft ball, then you really got to go with it. So I'm going to move you over here. Get my pan ready. Come over here. Get the peanut butter put in. And this is where you gotta stir like crazy. See, it's changing color, it's not quite so rich. That's what I like. Okay, it's all stirred in. Make sure you can see. And we'll pour it in the pan. Sometimes if you don't catch it just right, it's hard to get it out of the pan and into the cake pan. Sometimes you're wasting time. Oops, there's some peanut butter that didn't get mixed in. Just smooth it out a little bit. And there you go. There's your fudge. Now it's still really hot on the bottom, so just wait for it to cool. And it should be just fine. We'll be back and check it. Okay, and here we are. The fudge is cooled, and I already sliced it into pieces. And it is so good. Really good. Okay, that's it for now. We'll see y'all in the next video. Thanks for watching. Take care. Everybody stay safe. Bye.